My name is Labake. I'm 28 years old. I dealt with anxiety and depression last year, 2019. Growing up as a child, I always worried about one thing or the other, whether it concerned me or it concerned somebody else. But then last year, it became excessive. I traveled to Nigeria, and when I went back to America, I was having it. I mean, it was so difficult for me to adjust, and all sorts of things just started like coming back up, all past traumas and all of that. Then worry now joined it, and I couldn't control my thoughts or my brain for a long time. Uh, Not being able to control your thoughts is like you have the facts, like this thing I'm thinking is not true, but you just can't help it. You just keep on worrying about it. That's true or not true. I'm going to worry about this thing, and you just can't stop yourself from worrying about it. One example is I met someone for the first time, and that person knew me but didn't know I was that person. That particular person knew me. So the way they just answered me and talked to me on a normal, like a regular person would think that, oh yeah, they're just meeting for the first time. Yeah, it's not as if they just met me, they've met me for a long time and they should start hugging me or laughing with me or joking with me. But for someone like me, like the person just said hi and hello and then just left, and I'm looking like, okay, my brain just started telling me this person doesn't like you. You must have said something not right, or like all sorts of things were just running through my head. And yeah, and I couldn't control it or help it, even if somehow I knew that it wasn't about me, really. So I just made it about myself and started worrying about it. Although I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder and adjustment disorder in February 2019, but I knew that it was way more than that because as I came back from Nigeria, I came and I got back home. All my childhood traumas just started rushing back at me. I don't know what triggered it. I don't know what happened. I don't think there was nothing in the environment that triggered it, but everything just started rushing back, and that was like what led to depression for me. So growing up, I've always been the child, like the special child in my house. Like from right from birth, there was like okay, I was the only one who was born 24 months. Like I was born before my time, and there was some circumstances towards my birth. And also growing up, I've always had anger issues as a toddler down to a young adult. I've always had anger issues. I was always angry about something that I don't know what's about. I had low self-esteem. Um, yeah, and then growing up, the environment growing up, I would say it was pretty in between. I don't want to say it was bad because it wasn't really bad. I don't want to say it was good because it wasn't really perfect. So I've always told myself that I'm the special child, not in a good way, but in a way that I'm always the one that there's something always going on with, which is not always good. Like I have to struggle for things that my siblings get easy. Is there room for crying? Is there room for crying? So I have to like struggle for most of the things that I have or where I am today. I have to struggle to be where I am today, which some people may see it as a privilege to be able to I don't know. Some people see it as a privilege, but me, the narrative I was telling myself is that there's something wrong with me. Since I have to struggle for everything, there's definitely something wrong with me. Or it's one of my village people somewhere that is messing with me or something. So now those are the thoughts I've grown up to tell myself. I just started like I do this thing a lot from childhood where I repress my memory and I'm aware that I'm actually doing it. So, but in February, no control it. I guess my memory tank was full. It was too full to the brain that I couldn't keep anything in it anymore. So I started like reliving, not necessarily reliving, but how do I say, actually tell the story of what I've experienced growing up and how I've seen it happen, how I've narrated it to myself, which is not necessarily a story, but the truth. Um, so on several occasions, right from the age of 2, I've I've like experienced um, abuse. There are different forms of abuse, and they are almost abuse, and there are some ones that unintentional abuse. The very first abuse I experienced as a child was an unintentional abuse. Unintentional abuse is one whereby another child is abusing another child, and they don't know what they're doing. And I know some people may count this as something that's not a big deal, but as a psychologist, I think it's a big deal, and it's actually like influences the personality of that person growing up. So as a child, I had this experience of a little boy telling me to go in the shower with him. And I know some people will be thinking, 2 years old, how can you remember that? I'm sorry, that's how my brain works. I can't help it. I remember everything. Uh, so I remember this child telling me to go in the shower with him. And I went in the shower and he was just like acting like we were married or whatever, like in the shower, hugging me, then kissing me. Then I didn't know it was something bad until his mom now came in. I was like, "What are you people doing there?" And like then I knew that that was not something right that he was doing. Another one that I remember was when I was 4 and there was this uncle or whatever because my dad had this hotel and there was this we always like walked around freely in the hotel and there was this uncle who worked and I remember I don't know why I remember this so clearly but I do he was holding hot water boiled hot water to now and pour it somewhere I don't know where but then I now met him at the staircase because this was like a long staircase that was behind like staircase that was behind when you don't want to take the elevator not that we had an elevator but yeah. So people don't really use that staircase because it was at the back. So I was just walking around there and going upstairs. Then I met the uncle halfway at the staircase. Then he told me to stop. Then I stopped. I was wondering what he wanted to talk to me about. I was 4 years old, by the way. This was at the staircase in an open place, but people barely go through there. So he brought out his private part. And he was like telling me that I'm sorry I'm laughing, but it's funny now. Think about it. He told me that I should put my mouth on it. And then I looked at him like, put my mouth on it. Somehow I knew that was something that was not good. So I just ran away. I ran away from there and I didn't mention it to anybody. That was another 10. And then when I was about 6-ish, so we had neighbors in our house and they were Igbo. Not like I'm discriminating or saying Igbo are people are bad or whatever. But they were Igbo and there was this guy who was always calling me his wife. There were 2 of them. When they see me, they go like, yeah, look at my wife, blah, blah, blah. And I was I was quiet, but when I liked you, I would like really play with you and all that stuff. So liked them. We used to play together. These people were way older than me, probably in their teenage years or early 20s or something like that. So they'll be like, okay, my wife, this or that. Like, I mean, of course, then it didn't count it as anything in the 90s. Nobody calling your child their wife, and I didn't know anything. I didn't know better. So they would actually, in the open, they would try to kiss you, like, you know how people just say, "Oh, beautiful girl," they kiss you, that kind of stuff. They used to do that, like, "Beautiful girl," they will kiss you. But then at one point, they now started trying to like use tongue to kiss. Now that I remember it, I realized that they try to use tongue to like kiss 6-year-olds, like. But yeah, so there was this particular night that one of them was successful. So in my house, we had like my parents did this thing whereby the girls stay upstairs on the top floor with the parents, and the guys stay in the middle floor. Like our house was full, literally a village in my house. Like cousins, aunties, uncles, people that we don't even know, that they just say, "Oh yeah, come and live in our house." My parents were that open. People living in our house. So in the second floor, the guys were there, and we used to go and play there. I had stepbrothers and uncles that we just go there and play with them. That and they were older, so it was no big deal. We used to go there and play and do a lot of art stuff. So I forgot to, I actually slept off there, which was not my first time, or I didn't even count myself as slept off there. I've actually slept there overnight before and nothing happened. But I slept off there, and then I just know that I woke up to a weird pain, and I'm like, I was trying to get up and I could not get up. Then I realized what was happening, and he told me not to get up, and he like pushed me. I was just sitting here, like, what strength do I have? Pushed me back down, and then when he saw that I was getting so uncomfortable, because I was this child that I was a serious fighter. I can commando anybody. So he was getting to a point where he was saying that maybe he was scared that I would start screaming or anything. By the way, there was no lights and there was nobody else there. It was just this my neighbor and me. And now then he just like decided to let me go. And he now told me that I should not said, don't tell anybody. I don't tell anybody what happened to you. And I said, okay. He said, don't worry, I'll marry you. He said, don't worry, I'll marry you. So since that day, I went upstairs. I did not tell anybody anything that happened. I didn't tell anyone. I just went about it. Like, I think it was at that moment that when he said, don't tell anybody, I just put it on the back of my mind. Those were part of the memories that just kept like resurfacing back, and I couldn't like hold it back down or repress it anymore. And all of this was just like making my head full, too full for me to carry. How it affected me, from hearing other people's stories, I realized that, oh, this is why I behave like this sometimes, or this is why I behave like that sometimes. So growing up, I used to see myself as a tomboy, and I hated wearing dresses or outfits that showed my figure. And growing up, I started having a nice figure from when I was early teens, and people will always comment that, oh, look at, you know how African people always tease, like, you're already growing this, you're already growing that. Everything just felt weird to me. Like, why are they always saying things about my body? Like, it just felt weird. And I got people that know me know that I like wearing big clothes. People that know me, like, they know I like wearing like big outfits that are oversized, or like they don't really show my figure and form. But just until recently, I started wearing outfits that show my figure and form. I think that's one way it affected me, because I just felt like when people see me, what the first thing they see is my body. I didn't think I was beautiful. I grew up with low self-esteem, like very low self-esteem. Like I didn't think that people liked me. I didn't think that I was likable. And also, I remember in secondary school, like I remember, this is still today, I don't like hugging people. I know most people will not notice this, but I hate hugging people. I hate it so much because it makes me feel open open and vulnerable. I feel like when I hug you, I'm exposed. That then now you feel like you can you are entitled to my I don't know. It's just a mental thing. I think just I don't like to hug people. It just feels so sacred to me. Uh and yeah, like I said, I had low self esteem in secondary school. In secondary school I didn't like to talk to boys at all. I didn't want to talk to boys at all. It was actually up until SS2, there was this friend I had. His name was Tommy actually. This friend I had who I actually really now started talking to well. Then that made me feel free to talk to other guys like well, like really, really well. How I knew that I had anxiety was actually when I got back and I went back to work and there was I was like the oldest staff in my room because I work with kids. So I was the oldest staff in my room and the more experienced staff in my room. Oldest, I don't mean by age, but by experience. And I had new people who were like at least like so one of them was like 8 months, which is not really new anymore, but yeah. And one was like 4 months new. And being the more experienced person, everything falls on your head. Imagine being in a class with 30 kids and you have two other staff, but you are the only one doing all the work. That's when I realized that I needed help because at a point I couldn't stand the children I claimed to love. The children I claimed that they made my life beautiful. Like I used to love my job. Like I'll walk in the room and then I'll be so excited to be there. I'll be so happy to be there, but then I walk in the room and like I'm just dreading the fact that I'm in there. I think this happened because I didn't get much help in that room at that time because there was people that were fairly new and they didn't really know what they were doing and I didn't get support from management. So I was literally breaking down from inside out and nobody was seeing me, nobody was noticing that something was happening to me until I started having panic attacks at work. Something will be happening right now and they will call me and say, oh yeah, Abake, this child is doing this. And I'm literally look at them like, don't call me and then run out of the classroom. I know it sounds like we're in a movie, but yeah, that's what panic attacks were. That's what they were for me. Like I would literally like be so afraid. Not that I can't handle the situation, but I'm like, oh my god, why are you calling me again? And I'll just begin to shake. There are times that I had to run out of there, like just leave me. Even my kids will come to me and ask me questions, and I will zone out. I will zone out of it because they are only coming to me to ask me questions. I just felt like I felt everything was just too much for me. It was too much. They were all over me. They were hovering over me too much, and I needed to leave that place. And I needed to be out of there. So for a while, this happened for a while, and then my management started noticing. And it just happened coincidentally that day, the day my management noticed was the day I actually realized that I needed help and I went to see a therapist. And even getting to the therapist, I already told her what was wrong with me. And she was like, yeah, you're right. You have excessive anxiety. So I couldn't handle the things I would handle on a normal day-to-day basis. It was really hard. That if I was thinking about like if I wanted to do something and I actually thought about it, I'll overthink about it and then I'll start trembling from inside out and I'll not be able to handle it and be in that space anymore. I've had days whereby I was just at home and I just feel like I have to leave this place. I have to leave this place for now. I've driven around my car many times just to get air, just be out of the house, just to be out of this space, the mental space that I'm in. Because sometimes all of a sudden it just comes out from nowhere, and I just start trembling and panicking for no reason in particular. So even when there's nothing to worry about, I worry. Then, and what made my childhood experiences influence the anxiety that I had was that my brain I think the main reason was that my brain could not handle everything I was giving it to keep any longer. I had to like let it out. Like you have to feel all those things, let it all out. I didn't let myself feel all the emotions I was supposed to feel. So it was making my head full, making my heart race, and making me worry about things I'm not supposed to be worrying about and things I'm supposed to be worrying about excessively. Um, so I came to that realization knowing that, I mean, from my best friend and my boyfriend. They didn't say this, but I saw how it was affecting them, how the way I was feeling was affecting them, and I didn't like it. And this, yes, like I said, I worry a lot. And if I see that you're worried, I will get worried that you're worried. If that makes any sense, like another person's worry worries me. So seeing them worried like that made me worried for them, even though they were worried for me. And I didn't like that. I saw it was affecting them, and I actually did it for them, not for myself. I actually did it for the people that cared about me, and not for myself. Because it was so bad that I was blaming myself for feeling all these things that I was feeling because I couldn't control my thoughts. I was now thinking that, you know what if I just die? I know it's not funny, but like, imagine not being able to control your own thoughts. Like, it's crazy. Like, not being able to, and you know that the way you are thinking is affecting other people, and you just can't control it. So and I will admit that several times I just thought that, you know what, when I'm driving, somebody should just sit in my car should flip over. or you know what, let me just accidentally eat something I'm not supposed to eat, or just have a freak accident. But not something like, you know what, I want to kill myself. I want to do that. No. I was only having suicidal ideations. I thought about it. I didn't want to do it. So that's part of the reason that made me realize that I needed to see somebody and talk to somebody about it. Because I talked to my boyfriend about it, and I just mentioned that, okay, this is what I'm thinking in my head. And his reaction was crazy. his reaction was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm losing it. So that's when I knew that this is affecting the people around me that know about it too much. And I don't want anything to happen to them or our relationship. So I did it for them, my boyfriend and my best friend. Okay. I I do this thing whereby if I want to tell myself something, I tell it to other people. I already know the answer. I know what to do. I know what to. I'm not like saying I'm a perfectionist, but I like to think I am sometimes. So before getting to the therapist, I knew exactly what was wrong with me. I knew what was causing it. I just needed somebody to tell it. So that's just what it is. And I had to go to and also why I needed to go to my therapist was also because I couldn't control my brain. My brain was thinking about five things at the same time. That I didn't know how to help myself with that. So on talking to my therapist the first time, let me see if I can remember what happened the first time. Oh yeah, I actually mostly talked about my relationship when I was talking to my therapist the very first time. How I thought that, oh yeah, my boyfriend is in Nigeria, we're doing long distance. This may be going on, that may be going on. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if he's being truthful. I don't know if he's telling me a lie. All of that kind of stuff. I just left him and blah blah blah. I think that's one of the main reasons why she said I was having adjustment disorder. I couldn't handle being away from my boyfriend. That was the first thing she said that I didn't realize that was actually true. But then the anxiety part of it, I already told her that, you know what, I'm worrying excessively and I can't control my thoughts and I think I have anxiety and panic disorder. And she was like, after she talked to me and all that, she told me that I was right. That yes, I do have anxiety. And she came up with this, what do she call it again? Mindfulness. It's called mindfulness. Whereby you are mindful of your thoughts, you're mindful of your environment, you intentionally do stuff. You intentionally, basically intentionally do stuff. So she read a bunch of things. She gave me a handout to read. Of course, I didn't read it because I felt like I already knew what was in there. I was like looking at it, and I'm like, I know all these things. I just can't do it. Anxiety can be crazy like that. Like you know what you're supposed to do, but you can't just do it. Yep. Uh, so she gave me a bunch of stuff to read and told me to figure out exactly why I'm having distorted thoughts. Distorted thoughts are thoughts that are always negative, that you never think positive. It's always negative. You're focusing on the negative parts of life. You're not focusing on your present time. You're focusing on your past experiences. So I was doing that a lot, doing a lot of that, and I was living in the past, not in the present. So she told me to find out, like she gave me this thingy to find out exactly what kind of what was causing my distorted thinking. I never did it. I never used the paper for anything. But somehow, talking to her and just her being there, acknowledging me, made me kind of feel better. And maybe the idea of having a therapist made me feel like, you know what? You know, like when you have a doctor, but you're not sick, but you know you have a doctor, you just feel like you're healthy, even though you didn't go for checkup. That's how I felt with my therapist. Like, let me just go and see my therapist. If I'm seeing a therapist, that means I'm healthy. That's what I thought in my brain. So I like, then after that first time, I didn't go there again. We were supposed to have a follow up, follow up visit. Then I called her and I told her that, I emailed her and I told her that I don't need a follow up visit. I'm fine. I'm well now. This was like a month after I saw her the first time. So, because they always schedule depending on how severe it is, they schedule it like a month apart. So, a month before it was my next visit, I just emailed her like, you know what, I don't need to come in for this visit. I don't need to do blah 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 blah. Just email that you can call me and we'll just talk about my follow up how I'm doing. Then she called me. She called me that day. I was so like, I'm fine. I know what to do. I prayed about it. I'm this, I'm that. I'm perfect. I know exactly what I need to do. She was like, are you serious? Okay, you know, psychologists, they are not, they just look at you like, they won't say anything. They just let you do you. They let you do you. I just told her exactly what I did and what I've been doing that's making me feel better. Then after I told her that, really, that day, I made a very bad decision to talk about. I made a very bad decision based on anxiety, based on the thought that, okay, this particular thing is going on right now. And it's the truth. Like, I believe that everything I think in my head is the truth. Like, nobody can tell me another thing. Because I grew up believing my instincts. My instincts are very, very strong. But then I didn't know when to set the bar and say that, okay, this is instinct. And this is just paranoia. So, I acted on paranoia that day without realizing that this is anxiety at work. After I just told my therapist that I'm fine, I'm well. Then a bunch of things happened in between regarding my work, my life in general, that just made me want to crumble up somewhere and never come out of that place anymore. And made me realize that, you know what, you say you are over this anxiety, which is not true. You are making decisions based on your anxiety. You are ruining all your relationships with your family members, with your friends, with your partner based on this anxiety, this paranoia thoughts. I left my job, the job I was yeah, the job that I had new people and they were not just helping my kids, and I didn't like going there anymore. I was just so afraid of being there, being around my little ones. Yeah. So I left that job because on the name of I felt like I needed something better. But meanwhile, it's actually because of my mental state. I actually left. But I was telling myself that I needed something better. I needed something better financially and career wise, which was not really true. So I was being truthful to myself. So I found another job that I thought I really, really wanted. And I really thought that this is what I really want to do with my life. I became a behavior therapist. And that was the highlight of my PTSD. So a behavioral therapist, like, uh, they work with special needs children. As a behavior therapist, in some cases, you're allowed to restrain a child when they are being violent towards you, towards themselves, or towards others. But in my previous job, where I was coming from, we're not allowed to do that. Like, if a child is throwing a tantrum or being unsafe, we just move out everybody else who they are being unsafe to. The only time that we are allowed to, actually, we're not even allowed. The only person or people who are allowed to restrain them as the management. So, but as a behavior therapist, there's no management there with you. It's you one on one with the child, and sometimes the parents are there. So there were children that, even if they were not even throwing tantrums or whatever, these are mostly autistic children that you have to force them to do what you want. Because that's the way behavior therapy works, like ABA therapy works. You have to make them do the things they're supposed to know how to do at that developmental stage or social stage that they are. So, for example, a child with autism does not like to look straight at people when they're talking to them. And although they're listening to you, but they don't look at you. So acknowledge that, oh, I've heard what you said. So in behavior therapy, you are allowed to hold their face. You're allowed to hold their face to look at you until their eyes meet your eyes. That's when you can let it go. And I just felt like that was just rude and invasive. At first, I just thought that I can live with that. Maybe it's just to hold their face and they can look at me. But when it started getting extreme to the point that when a child is trying to escape because they don't want to do what you want them to do, they run away. You are allowed to restrain them and hold them down. And these are kids that they will fight. Kids will fight. They will kick. And it just kind of like brought up all sorts of memories back. Like, why would I be restraining a child and force them to do what they don't want to do? That's the way I was seeing it. And it just made me, I could not handle it. Although it's what I want to do, work with kids who have special needs, but I could not handle restraining them. It's not what I want to do with my life. It's not fair that I would be restraining a child to do what they don't want to do. Because I experienced that, like forcing me to do what I don't want to do. So I didn't like the idea of that. So I left my job. After I put my notice to leave my job, then I wanted to bounce the idea around with people that would tell me if I'm crazy or if I'm doing the right thing. So I laid it out to a couple of people, and the first person that I always looked to their approval was my boyfriend, and he was like, "Do it if it makes you happy. If it makes you happy, do it." Then I went to my therapist and I told her that I hate my job. I don't like my job. This is how I feel when I'm doing my job. She's like, definitely leave it. If you're feeling that way, you should leave it. Like, you can't even, that means you can't even do the job if you're feeling that way. Which was right, because I was just not. I used to dread going to work. I used to dread helping these kids, which is not supposed to be. So I left my job, and today I still don't have a job yet. So along the way, I'll say my therapist what my therapist was really doing for me was like pointing out my distorted thinking. She started telling me that, you know what, you have to be mindful about the way you think and what you think about. You have to be living in your reality. Don't keep on living in what you think is happening or what you believe is happening in your head. I used to think I was always right. I used to think that anything I believe is true. I mean, I'm a person that dreams, and I hold my dreams like really tight in my hand and be like, God has spoken to me right now. If I had a dream, and I decided to learn the difference between when God speaks to me in my dream and then when it's just my memory or my thoughts that transpiring into dreams for me. So I decided to start learning how to like draw the line and say this is the truth and this is not the truth. So that's one thing that my therapist kind of helped me with. Like I decided to draw the line between facts and paranoia. I decided to draw the line between the past and the present. Yeah. So those are the things I was just working on myself. And I also started doing yoga. Somehow yoga was relaxing. It was actually fun and it was putting me in that state of mind that, you know what, like even in these 2 seconds, if I meditate for 2 minutes right now, all my worries in this world have disappeared. I don't know how, but in 2 minutes, like all my worries in the world have disappeared. But then anxiety does this thing whereby it plays tricks on you. In this minute, you think you're perfect, you're awesome, you got it all figured out. The next minute, you're back at it again. That was what made it very hard to overcome anxiety. But my therapist, I still see my therapist, and we still talk about other things. We don't necessarily talk about just things that I worry about. We talk about life in general. I decided to talk about this openly because I've taught myself for 27 years of my life. I used to keep things to myself a lot. I started having friends that I'll be able to open up to. Like I'll just say anything that is coming, that I'm thinking in my head, that I feel like this is a sort of anxiety that you just think that if you tell somebody this thing, they're just looking at you one kind, or they'll be judging you, and you're afraid of them judging you without even realizing it. But then I decided to caution myself and intentionally tell myself that, you know what, put yourself out there. And I started doing that, putting myself out there, telling it that it is not even caring what anybody thinks about me or not. I started having friends that I'll be able to open my mouth and tell them that this is what I'm thinking right now. What do you think about what I'm thinking right now? I started exposing my thoughts. I started exposing my feelings. I started exposing my past, my present, everything that was worrying me. I started exposing it and telling some certain people close to me about. And there was this time I did something that, you know what, I thought that I was doing that, but I still felt like I was not being truthful to myself, because I was picking selected people to tell, and I think that somehow I felt comfortable with those people that I was telling them that. So I decided to push myself further and tell it to the world on Instagram. And be like, this is what I'm fighting, this is what I'm going through. I'm exposing myself. What's the worst that can happen? What can somebody say to me? How will somebody look at me? Believe me, this is a problem that people that have anxiety have. Like we just think that if I say A, somebody will judge me for saying A. And it's not as if we're like thinking about it that somebody will judge me. But it's just a thought in our head that I'm afraid to say something. You see, it's an unconscious thought that you're afraid to say something because of what another person will think about what you have said. And I realized that is what part of the anxiety was for me. So I exposed my thoughts, I exposed it to the world, and I told them that I've been going through this. And the response I got, Lord God Almighty. Some people handle it well. Some people handled it well. Some people did not handle it well. Everybody knows my family did not handle it well. Specifically, my mother did not handle it well. So she was like, hey, why you gonna post that kind of thing on Instagram? Hey, can you come? Somebody has sent it to me. We are going to delete this kind of things. You don't talk to people outside about it. And Mama, son in Uleni, you talk about it inside the house. That kind of stuff. And I was just looking at her like, it's not a big deal. Don't make it a big deal. Especially when I wrote that I was having suicide ideation. Which people thought that maybe they thought I was suicidal. But no, I was not suicidal. I was just having thoughts about what should I die. Maybe to be easier. It's different than saying I want to kill myself. How do I do it? Okay. So yeah, so my mom did not understand that aspect of it. She was just like not handling it well and always worrying about me every second about everything. Why I decided to talk about it was to expose my fears to the world. Like, okay, this is my fears. This is how I feel. What's the worst that can happen? Who could judge me? What can you do? What can the world do to me? The world can do nothing to me. So I exposed myself for myself, to everybody. I exposed it, and that actually helped me a lot. It helped me a lot because now I said that people didn't even judge me. After I posted this, nobody even judged me. Nobody, so people were even like opening up to me, like say, I'm going through the same thing. I'm like, eh? So it's not me that's going through this. It's Nigerians, though. They tell me I'm going through the same thing. I had actually bonded with three different people over this anxiety thing. Like, we are like anxiety bodies. We just all of a sudden, we just talk and say, think of people, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, blah, 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 blah. It became like something that I felt like, nobody is judging me. People are even going through this thing too with me. I received a lot of prayers. Like, it just made me feel loved. Because somehow I didn't feel like people loved me that much. I didn't feel like people even cared about anything that was happening to me. But yeah, that's why I decided to expose that part of my anxiety, and it really helped me with my relationship with people. Like, I'm able to tell things to people and not care about what they will think or whatever. Which actually most times nobody cares about what you're saying. I've come to realize that as human beings, though, you talk and they don't really, people are not really listening to you, and they don't even really care sincerely. So for me to not be thinking that people care about me so much to be judging me, nobody has time for that. Nobody has time. I realize that too. Nobody has time to be judging me. They have their own issues that they are worried about too. So it really, really helped me with my relationship with other people by exposing it to the world and seeing how the world accepted me. Then for my mom, all she saw in that post was suicide. All she saw in that post was suicide, and any small thing that happens to me, she's just like, "Hey, don't do anything, no, don't do." And like somebody that has anxiety, it's somebody that you care about is worrying. You worry about that person worrying. So I was just worried about her worrying about me. And I didn't like the idea. That was one aspect of the whole exposing thing I did not like at all. And it made me snap at her a lot because any small thing she'd just be like, me. She started calling me my best friend. But out of nowhere, she started calling me best friend. She just any small chance she gets, she tries to remind me that you're my friend. You can always tell me anything that you want to tell me. We didn't grow up like that. It can't happen overnight. So, but normally, personally, I'm the person that keeps to myself. It's not mainly about my environment growing up. But personally, I'm a person that likes to keep all my troubles and my sorrows to myself. But now I've learned to always tell people if something is biting me, I will tell you, I will open my mouth and say, this thing is biting me. I don't want to handle it alone by myself anymore. That's one thing I gained from speaking out. Like, I literally tell people, even the most stupidest of things, I'll just tell them that, you know what happened right now? Something took my leg or whatever, just an example. And I'll tell it to them. I learned to stop keeping things to myself. That's what made all this thing come out in the first place and attack me full force. And I was losing it. Because I was repressing too much things in my brain, and I've learned that you cannot keep on keeping things in your head. Oh, I wanted to make an example to people that always say that when someone offends them, they're like, I don't need to talk about it with that person. I've forgotten about it. They lie. It's only Jesus that can do it. Because if somebody offends you, and even though you don't think that is a big deal, but you don't mention it to that person that this is what you did to me and blah blah blah, I didn't like it. You never told that person that what they did to you didn't like it. You just said that it's not a big deal, they used to do that. Over time it's going to affect your relationship with that person because your memory is storing it something that Lagbaja, don't act like this with Lagbaja anymore. Because Lagbaja will do this certain thing to you. You don't know that it's happening, but it's happening. The way our brain works, that's how it works. So I will advise people that if something is going on with you or somebody offends you or whatever, say it out loud. Stop telling yourself that it's not affecting you. It's not it's affecting you. You don't just know it yet. That's what happened to me. I repressed all the memories in this world. I said it's not affecting me. I blocked everything out, and the thing came out full force. I wanted to take me out, but thank God for God. Thank God for God. It's like, and people around me that helped me through it. It's also important to have what they call it now, backbones. Uh, I had and have a couple of backbones. I actually lost friends due to this anxiety. hmm Yes, I did. Like not just friends from like we just met or whatever. Nope, friends that we've known each other for years, like 7 years, 8 years. I actually lost friends to it because some of them could not handle all the emotions I was going through. And some of them were actually going through their own emotions too, coupled with my own. It was too much for them to handle. And some were just feeling like maybe she's just too dramatic. Maybe she's too dramatic or whatever. She's just being extra. But yeah, into my healing process, I realized that I didn't love myself as much as I should. I didn't understand what it meant or what it means to love oneself. So I decided to get a tattoo to remind myself to always love myself. And okay. So I designed the tattoo myself with a heart shape but with an arrow facing inwards, which means self-love. Every time I look at it, I remember to love myself. And this heart rhythm is just for me to remember that I need to breathe, that no matter what I'm panicking about or what's going on there, I shouldn't hold my breath, but instead I should actually breathe. One thing that helped me handle this anxiety and all the PTSD that I was going through was telling myself to feel all the things I stopped myself from feeling right from childhood, like all the things I felt, like all the things that happened to me, I never processed it properly at all. I repressed them instead. So this 2019, I decided to tell myself that Labake, yes, you are a victim. You suffered this and that, but you are still here today. Accept it that you are a victim. I never accepted that I was a victim of anything. That's why when people talk about abuse, I'm just looking at them like, I was never abused before. So yeah, I'm like, just like, I accepted everything that happened to me. I accepted that, you know what, you're a victim. Yes. You know what, you are struggling for everything. Yes, you are struggling. You know what, you are this, you are that. I told myself all the negative things. I told it all to myself. I accepted it. I digested it that what has happened has happened. Yeah, now wake up. Don't live in the past anymore. Start living for the future. Believe you me, I spoke to myself with all authority. Speaking to yourself is very important. I don't know for other people, but to me, like when I talk to myself, I actually listen more than when other people talk to me. So I told these things to myself. I accepted it, I digested it, and I moved on from it. Apparently, I hadn't moved on. I hadn't moved on from it for 27 years of my life. But yeah, this is recently in November. Imagine being like that from February to November. I know some people suffer it more than that, but February to November. And November, I told myself that, you're going on vacation. This vacation, you have to enjoy it. No anxiety, no worry, and nothing. And I also actually, not that during my anxiety, the beginning of my anxiety, of course I prayed. I know people say, pray. The child of God does not have a lie. I'm not sorry to tell you. I prayed. I pray, tire. Nothing happened. Nothing. I told God this, God that. Nothing happened. Then, believe you me, I'm boasting about nothing like the Bible says, boast about nothing, something, get the drift. So yeah, After I decided to feel all these feelings, we are humans after all. You are supposed to feel all these things. You're supposed to let these things let these things come, like experience them, feel it. Don't try to say, like example, when Jesus was on Jesus, they were beating Jesus Christ. Wasn't he screaming out loud? Why didn't he say that? Oh, I know this is physical pain, but yeah, why didn't he say that? Actually, no, there was an example of emotional pain was when the people were just flogging him and doing all sorts of things. Although, yeah, he was screaming when they were beating him, but it pained him in his heart, and he said that that God should forgive you people for what they are doing. So we are human beings. We have to learn that even if we are praying, you have to be able to accept that okay, this is happening to me, and express it that this thing is happening to me. Prayer will not fix all of. I don't want to say it in the wrong way, but prayer will not fix that for you. You have to actually feel. So I learned to feel. Then I learned to pray about how I was feeling. If that makes any sense. I prayed and I told God that I never went to tell God. I yelled at God. Sorry. I told God I was angry. I said, it's too much. Oh, you have learned and see what you are teaching me here. I learned, then I prayed and I really, really prayed with all anger to God, and I was telling God that, oh yeah, I'm ready now. This is it. I've seen everything that you're trying to show me and tell me in this thing. Now I don't want this anxiety anymore. And since that day, that's November before I came to my vacation, not one anxiety has entered my brain. Nothing at all. Like it's like a thing of the past. Like when people say anxiety, I'm just like I don't remember that I was going through anxiety, like worrying excessively about things. I don't worry about anything anymore. Yeah, it's a miracle. Yeah, but I don't worry about anything anymore. Like I don't remember that such a thing as anxiety anymore. Because I have fought my own battle. I received the pain firsthand. I dwelled in it. And I became a victor out of it. I conquered it. Very beautiful.